I'm Dr. Tom, and I'd like to welcome you to another Friday update. I'd like to begin this week's update with a very simple question for you. Who will you become in 2021? Who will you become in 2021? It is my intention that you spend some time thinking about that. And I have some ways in which you may utilize the tools at your disposal, the club, the system, the process at your disposal to accomplish that. I'd like to begin today with a couple of announcements. For starters, number one, our virtual global family dream weekend. Yes, that is a mouthful. Our virtual global family dream weekend. It's a mouthful because we're going to accomplish a tremendous amount. It's a mouthful because we're going to go from 9 to 4 on Saturday, which will be February the 6th. This is going to be on Saturday and Sunday, the 6th and the 7th. 9 to 4 on Saturday. We will schedule a lunch break there. We will go from 9 to 2. This is an addition. We were only going to go 9 to 1. Once we began to put the program together and we had so much material from so many people that wanted the desire to contribute and just to give back to the club, that we extended it slightly. There will also be some bonus material that we will add for those of you who register, which takes me to registration on this. You can register from a link that's presented in the email where you received this. You can register. You also received an email yesterday from Gen headquarters, which will give you the directions on how to do that, and a link there as well. You can go to the website to register, however you choose to be able to do that. For those of you who wish to invite a guest onto this, make sure that they register as a free affiliate. For those of you who are affiliates, be sure and check your login information. You see, you will actually be able to go into your account. You will log onto the website to view this virtual event. So be sure that you register ahead of time. Here's one of the great benefits and the powers of learning inside the world of Gen is that Gen members take action. They take a proactive step. The reality is that in the outside world, those who are not in this club, they would procrastinate and they would wait until Friday night to begin to think, now how am I going to get on this virtual meeting tomorrow? Gen members know better than that. They'll register early. They will log on and test to make sure that their passwords, maybe you're brand new to this club and you haven't even had a chance to get on the website yet. So there are many different ways in which you can get to the registration page. My point is, please do that early because there will be a rush as we get closer and closer and closer. So just go ahead and register ahead of time. I think that you will be very grateful that you did that. I will also share with you that we're going to have a rally call this Sunday, which is the 24th. It will be at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. Again, you received an email on Thursday. If you'll check your inbox, you should have received an email as well about this global rally call where Blaine and Dr. Ted and I will be sharing information about you, about the upcoming virtual global family dream weekend environment. We're going to be sharing some tips for you to begin to get your 2021 started on the right foot, started in the right direction, if you will. So that will be on this Sunday. We look forward to hearing your names on that call as the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you that join us on those rally calls, which lead up to an event. So that event is coming to you, of course, in February. So we're going to get the energy ball moving forward in January, which leads me to I'd like to do a shout out for those who the team that has put together our virtual chapter meetings, because they have been such a great addition, a great gift, a perfect example of people giving to this club. And we're very proud about that. And we're actually going to bring you some more information from those individuals in February during that Dream Weekend. So we look forward to sharing more about them so that each of you can begin to know more about each of the leaders that are participating in those virtual chapter meetings. They are a very optimistic group, and they are a very positive group. And those meetings give such a great feeling of energy, of positivity. And it reminded me of as I was thinking about those people and thinking about them this week, it reminded me of a quote from Walt Disney. And that quote is, I always like to look on the optimistic side of life, but I'm realistic enough to know that life is a complex matter. See, the two key words in that for today are the optimistic part of life and the realistic part of life. Because these two things can intersect and can play off of each other, if you will. You see, to be optimistic is to be hopeful, or is to hope for the best possible outcome. In Zen, we talk about that as seeing the good, finding the gold. We talk about it as celebrating the wins as a result of seeing the good, finding the gold, celebrating accomplishments. You see, these things require you to take some action. They require you to move in a direction of accomplishment. There are action steps that are involved with being optimistic. And I'll get to that more on that in just a moment. The realistic part of this is what is really accurate, what is truthful, what actually is, if you will. And while these two things are both part of an attitude, they are also accomplished through a system, through a process, through repetition, through a way in which you can get from point A to point B. I'd like to share with you 6 specific trainings on becoming optimistic, 6 steps, if you will. They're very simple, they're very short, they're very easy to understand and to implement. Number 1 is try on a positive lens. Look at life through a positive lens. Who do you listen to, and what information are you reading, and what are you watching in the world of videos? Are they things that view the world in a positive lens? It's a positive attitude. Number 2, take note of the company you keep. I think this is incredibly important, and it has so much to do with being in a club like Jen, and specifically in our case, being in Jen. To be with a group of like-minded people. You know, there's that phrase about you're judged by the company you keep, and you actually become just like the company you keep because you create a like-minded environment. If you surround yourself with optimistic people, you'll find yourself being more optimistic. If you find yourself slipping and falling into a pessimistic attitude or being more negative or just being concerned, and believe me, these are all real emotions. We are all human beings. We all have some negative thoughts. We all have some pessimistic views. We are all presented with circumstances and situations where our immediate response may not be the one we would have given if we'd had more time to think about it. Part of your training is to develop that so that you do less and less of that pessimistic part. It's a process. It is a step-by-step process and procedure. It's a system. It's a series of events that you go through to begin to grow. So when you find yourself being negative, or if someone reminds you that's not quite as spectacular, or maybe that's a semi-terrific way to look at it, just remind yourself to go back to optimism. It's always there for you. It's always there awaiting you to join it. Number 3, turn off the news. That one explains itself in this day and age because it talks about who do you listen to. You see, when I was younger, I remember when you'd watch the news, they were called news reporters. And what they did was actually report the news. It was objective. The news is not that way anymore. The news is a medium to carry out a narrative. And unfortunately, mainstream media has a narrative that may be very different than an optimistic viewpoint. You see, there are very few optimistic or positive stories listed on the news. Occasionally they'll slip one in there on you. But the reality is that it's more of a delivery of a narrative than it is reporting of what actually happened. There are other views. There are other views. Number 4, write in a journal. Journaling is a proven technique that has worked literally for thousands of years. If you're not familiar with journaling or you've not done any journaling, I would invite you to bring journaling into your world, into your life, because it is a way in which you can become very focused and you can see you can reflect upon things that are happening in your world. Number 5, acknowledge what you can and cannot control. I have spoken on this topic a number of times, talking about stress, because it's the same thing. There are only 2 kinds of stress in the world. There's the kind of stress that you can do something about, and in that case, do something about it. And there's the kind of stress that you can do nothing about. And so you get to decide which category you put them in. And if it is, in fact, a stress that you can do nothing about, why on earth are you stressing about it? You've already decided you can't do anything about it. So stop the stress, accept it. You don't have to approve of it. Just accept it as what is. It's part of that realism that we're going to talk about next. And number 6, don't forget to acknowledge the negative. We talk about this and address this as knowing and defining what it is that you do not want so that you can focus on what you do want. You see, it's not spending the majority of your time on what you don't want. It's identifying. Take as much time as you need to determine what it is that you do not want in your life. In the moment you make that decision, set on a course to accomplish the things you do want in your life, to bring into your life, to attract into your life and into your field, into your being, and into those that surround you, and into that group of people that you hang out with, and into your mastermind. Because that's how it works. You see, you can actually combine these and become an optimistic realist or a realistic optimist. You can put these 2 together where you deal with a concrete set of facts, you deal with a foundation, and you move your life and your influence in a positive, hopeful, best case scenario. Realism shows that it takes hard work. You know, when you realize that things don't just fall out of the sky for you, that it does take a plan, it does take a process, it does involve a system. Maybe that's your morning routine that we've talked about. Maybe that's what you say. Maybe that's how you pray. Maybe that's how you meditate. Maybe that's how you do mindfulness. Maybe it's how you do a mortar march. What do you do in your plan? What's your system? What's your program? What's your repetition? What's your effort? And are you in fact persistent? Because when you become persistent, you win over time. You accomplish your goals over time, which I describe as a win. This is a way in which you can accomplish realistic optimism. It's a way in which you can be optimistic. I'd like to share just a few phrases because there's so much to talk about. You know, there are so many memory engrams that each of us have that are entrenched and ingrained and ensconced in our brain, our memory, and our cellular fiber, and they come out as an automatic or autonomic response. I'm going to read a few of those to you. I'll begin reading a few of those, and my desire is that as I start on them, that you finish the sentence, because you know most all of these. It's the way in which you are trained to begin to respond, and these are ways in looking at things optimistically. It could become a part of your fiber, so that when you're faced with a situation, circumstance, or occasion, that this is how you automatically respond. We'll start with a real simple one that most everyone is familiar with. It's that we would tend to see the glasses half full versus half empty. We would tend to take lemons and make lemonade out of them. Every cloud has a silver lining. You get it. You see how this goes. We put hope against hope. Things have a way of working out. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And in the beginning stages, you say, and we're thankful that it's not an oncoming train. See, you're getting it. Keep your chin up. Look up. Be positive. It impacts your posture. It impacts your energy and your very being. And when you enter a room in that manner, your field precedes you, and people know what to expect from you. It's a simple physical postural thing that says so much about your self-esteem and what you think of yourself and how you view yourself and how you optimistically can approach life. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Another bus will come along any minute. There are multiple opportunities in life. Do not get hung up and be pessimistic about some circumstance or situation that's happened in your past. Let go of the past. Forgive it. Move on. Look to the future. When one door closes, another one opens. Some people have modified that one. When one door closes, jump out the window, depending upon what's happening inside where the door has closed or where the door is going to open for you to move into. Maybe the situation was someone shared gin with you at a time in your life when you thought it was, maybe you were at a very low point. So many people have shared these types of stories with me over the years and years and years of being involved in gin. Just when they thought nothing good would ever happen to them, if it wasn't for bad luck, they had no luck at all, someone shared this program with them. And from that moment on, when that part of their life closed and someone thought enough of them to open a door for them, to extend a hand, to assist them in moving forward, it was a life-changing event. And they've been different ever since, and they've changed their family, and they've therefore begun to think differently, and they rewire their body and their DNA, and they can change their family for generations to come because someone thought enough of them to invite them into this club. Count your blessings. Begin to look at the world through rose-colored glasses. Everything is coming up roses. You see, all of those phrases give you a way in which, and you recognize, I'm sure, many of those, and there are others. We could go on for hours. This week, the point is optimism and realism. I can't think of many people that have ever existed that were better dreamers and had a realistic view of things than Walt Disney. The man created an empire that we still share and that we still get to enjoy because he had a dream and he had vision and he wasn't afraid to take action and he had a system and he had a plan and he surrounded himself with a group of people that could carry on his dreams and his desires and his wishes even after he physically left this planet. Even after he physically left this planet. Which is one of our goals and dreams and desires for this club, is that it will continue long after Dr. Tom and Dr. Ted and Blaine, Kevin, Lee, our current members, long after we've passed and moved to another plane, that this club and these principles that are thousands of years old, these principles that work, will be able to be shared with future generations. That's what we dream. That's our optimistic view, and it's also our realistic view for you this week. I'm Dr. Tom. I hope you have a spectacular week.